The shuttle glided through the vast emptiness of space, its silver hull shining against the stars. Inside the passenger bay sat a young woman with short brown hair and curious eyes. Her name was Elena Ward, and today was her first day on assignment. She was only 22 years old, fresh out of the academy, and this was her very first mission outside of Earth's solar system. Elena looked out the wide shuttle window, staring at the enormous shape of the Orion starbase as it came into view. The station hung like a city in the dark void, massive rings and towers connected together, glowing with lights from thousands of ships and alien life forms. To Elena, it looked both beautiful and intimidating. Her heart beat faster. She had dreamed about this moment ever since she was a child. Humans had spread far across the galaxy, but they were still considered one of the newer, younger species by the rest of the stars. Many alien civilizations had been traveling space for thousands of years before humans even learned how to light a fire, and now she was about to live and work among them. The intercom crackled. Docking in 5 minutes. All passengers prepare for station entry. Elena took a deep breath and adjusted her uniform. She was nervous, but she also felt proud. She wasn't going to let anyone see her shaking hands or racing thoughts. First steps into the unknown. When the shuttle doors opened, Elena walked into a large docking bay filled with activity. Tall insect-like aliens scuttled past, their many legs moving in perfect rhythm. Scaled reptilian traders shouted across the platform, negotiating prices for goods. A group of bird-like creatures flapped their wings and argued loudly in their own language. Elena slowed her steps, her eyes wide with wonder. She had studied about these species in books, but now they were alive, moving, breathing right in front of her. Keep moving. Rookie, a voice said behind her. Elena turned to see a human officer, tall and broad-shouldered, carrying a data tablet. His uniform carried the mark of security. His expression was serious but not unkind. Yes. Sir? Elena said quickly and walked faster, trying not to get distracted by the sights. The officer gave her a short nod before heading in another direction. Elena continued deeper into the station until she reached the main hall, the station of many worlds. The central hall of the Orion starbase was enormous, with ceilings so high she couldn't even see the top. Holographic signs in dozens of alien languages floated above shops, restaurants, and offices. Smells of strange food filled the air. Spicy, sweet, bitter, all mixing together into something completely alien. Elena walked slowly, absorbing it all. She could feel eyes on her. Humans were still rare here, and many aliens paused to stare at the young woman walking alone. Some whispered to each other in low voices. Elena straightened her back and tried to walk with confidence even though her heart was racing. Her assignment papers directed her to Sector 12, where the security and research divisions were located. She followed the signs, turning down quieter corridors, until she reached a large metal door marked with alien symbols and English letters. Security and research, authorized personnel only. She placed her hand on the scanner. The door opened with a hiss. Meeting the team inside, Elena found herself in a control room filled with screens and consoles. A mix of humans and aliens worked at the stations, their eyes focused on glowing data. In the center of the room stood Commander Rax, a stern alien officer with gray skin, long horns curving back from his head, and bright yellow eyes. "You must be the new recruit," he said, his deep voice rumbling. "Yes, sir." "Elena Ward, reporting for duty," she replied, standing straight. The commander studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "You are young, and humans are not well known for discipline, but we will see if you are different." "Yes, sir," Elena said firmly, hiding her nerves. Commander Rax gestured to another officer, a human woman named Lieutenant Harper. "She will show you your duties." Lieutenant Harper gave Elena a smile. "Come with me. Don't let the commander scare you. He's strict with everyone." Elena followed her through the halls, listening as Harper explained the station layout and her daily tasks. Everything seemed normal at first until Harper paused in front of a reinforced blast door covered with warning signs. "The Predator's chamber." "This area," Harper said quietly, "is restricted. You are not to enter under any circumstances." Elena glanced at the door. "What's inside?" Harper's expression grew serious. "The most dangerous creature ever captured by this station. We call it the Craxian Predator. It's fast, strong, and intelligent. Many teams tried to study it, and many of them did not survive. Remember this, rookie. Stay away from this sector unless ordered otherwise. Elena nodded, though her curiosity was immediately lit. She wanted to ask more, but Harper's sharp tone told her not to. They continued the tour, and eventually Harper left Elena at her assigned quarters. The room was small but clean, with a bed, a desk, and a small window looking out at the stars. When Harper left, Elena sat on the bed, her mind restless. She kept thinking about that door, about the predator locked inside. Why did the idea of it pull at her so strongly? She told herself she was just curious, but deep down she felt something more. A strange sense of connection she couldn't explain. A forbidden encounter the next day. Elena started her work routine, checking security logs, monitoring docking schedules, and assisting the research staff. She did her job well, though some older officers ignored her or looked down on her. To them, she was just a rookie human with no real experience. But Elena stayed focused. She knew she had to prove herself. Still, the thought of the predator never left her mind. She wanted to see it, just once. One evening, after her shift ended, Elena found herself walking down a quiet corridor. She didn't plan it, but her feet carried her toward that restricted door. The hall was empty and the scanners were on standby. She hesitated, her heart racing. Then, almost without thinking, she pressed her hand to the control panel. The door slid open with a heavy sound. Inside was a vast chamber, dimly lit. And there, behind energy barriers, stood the creature. Face to face, the Craxian predator was larger than anything Elena had ever imagined. Its body was sleek and muscular, covered with dark armor-like scales that shimmered faintly. Its eyes glowed a deep gold, and its claws looked sharp enough to cut through metal. But what struck Elena most was not its size or its danger. It was the way it looked at her. The predator did not roar or charge. It simply stood still, staring at her with eyes full of something she didn't expect. Sorrow. Elena felt frozen in place, but not with fear. Instead, she felt an odd calmness. Slowly, she stepped closer to the barrier. "Hello?" she whispered, her voice soft. The predator tilted its massive head as if listening. Its eyes never left hers. Elena realized then that maybe, just maybe, this creature wasn't only a monster. Maybe it was something more. And as the energy lights flickered between them, the young human rookie and the deadliest predator in the galaxy shared their first silent moment of connection. Elena woke the next morning with her thoughts still on the strange encounter. She had stood face to face with the deadliest predator in the galaxy, and yet she had not felt terror. She had felt curiosity, and something else she could not explain. The memory of those golden eyes stayed with her as she dressed in her uniform. Most of the station bustled with activity. Engineers fixing systems, traders exchanging goods, scientists busy with research. To everyone else, life continued as normal. But for Elena, something had changed. She had seen what no one else dared to see. Still, she told herself to focus. She was here to work, not to chase forbidden mysteries. She grabbed her tablet and reported to her duty post. Whispers in the station during her shift, Elena overheard a group of alien researchers speaking quietly. Their voices were low, but she caught fragments of their words. The creature refuses food again. Agitation levels rising. And perhaps it senses something. Elena's ears sharpened at the mention of the creature. They were speaking about the Craxian predator. One of the aliens, a tall being with silver skin and 3 eyes, noticed her glance. "Human rookie," he said coldly. "You should not listen to matters above your clearance." Elena lowered her eyes. "Yes, sir." But in her mind, the questions grew stronger. The predator was refusing food. Was it suffering? Why did it look so lonely when she saw it? Curiosity pulls her back. When her shift ended, Elena told herself she would head straight to her quarters. Yet her feet betrayed her once again. She found herself walking the silent corridor toward the predator's chamber. The heavy door stood before her, glowing faintly under the red warning lights. Elena hesitated. She knew this was wrong. She knew if anyone caught her, her career might be over before it even began. But something inside whispered, "It needs you." She pressed her hand on the scanner. The door hissed open. Inside, the predator stirred. Its golden eyes fixed on her immediately, and its great head tilted, recognizing her. Elena stepped closer, her heart beating loudly in her chest. She noticed a bowl of untouched food inside the barrier. The creature had not eaten. "You're starving yourself," she said softly, though she knew it could not understand human words. The predator rumbled low in its throat, a sound that was not a growl but something gentler, almost questioning. Offering trust, Elena thought quickly. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a ration bar from her pack. Slowly, carefully, she held it up for the predator to see. Its golden eyes followed her movement. With steady hands, Elena pushed the ration through the small delivery hatch in the barrier, a hatch normally used by scientists to place food or tools inside. For a long moment, the predator did not move. Then, with surprising grace, it stepped forward. Its claws clicked softly on the floor. Its enormous head lowered and its jaws opened. Elena held her breath. The predator took the ration bar gently between its teeth, never breaking eye contact with her. It chewed slowly, then swallowed. A soft sound rumbled from its chest. It was not a growl of anger, but something deeper. Elena realized with amazement. It was a sound of contentment. She smiled despite herself. "So, you were just waiting for someone to treat you differently." The predator lowered its head closer to the barrier, as if listening. Elena hesitated, then slowly raised her hand and pressed it against the energy shield. The creature mirrored her action. Its massive claw touched the opposite side of the barrier. A thin wall of light separated them, but in that moment, Elena felt as if they were truly connected. The rumors spread over the next few days. Elena returned again and again. Always in secret, always when the hall was empty. Each time the predator, whom she began to think of as Varric after reading the name in a research file, grew calmer around her. She offered food, and he accepted. She spoke softly, and he listened. Sometimes he made quiet sounds, patterns of rumbles and clicks. Elena began to notice repetition, almost like a language. She started to imitate the sounds. At first, Varric tilted his head in confusion, but then, to her astonishment, he responded. It was clumsy communication, but it was real. Yet, Elena was not as invisible as she thought. One evening in the mess hall, 2 alien officers whispered loudly enough for her to hear. They say the predator has stopped attacking the guards. Yes, strange, isn't it? And it only happened since the human rookie arrived. Elena froze. Were people noticing? She forced herself to act normal, but unease filled her. The commander's warning. The next morning, Commander Rack summoned her. His yellow eyes burned into her as she entered his office. "Recruit Ward," he said slowly. "I hear strange rumors." The creature grows calm. "Some believe you have been near it." Elena's heart skipped. She stood straight. "Sir, I have only performed my duties." The commander leaned closer. "Listen well. That predator is not a pet. It is a weapon of nature. If it chooses to strike, nothing can stop it. Stay away for your own survival." "Yes, sir," Elena said quickly. Rack studied her for a long moment before dismissing her. Elena left with her heart pounding. She should have been afraid, but instead she felt more determined. Breaking the barrier of fear. That evening, Elena returned once more. She could not help herself. Varric was waiting, his golden eyes lighting up as soon as he saw her. He pressed his head near the barrier and rumbled a sound she had come to recognize. A greeting. Elena smiled. "Hello again." She sat near the barrier and took out her ration bar. Varric leaned closer, almost impatient this time. She laughed softly and slid it through the hatch. As he ate, Elena spoke slowly, trying new sounds. "Fartakik." The predator froze, then tilted his head. His eyes widened slightly. A deep rumble came from his chest. She tried again. "Varric." This time the predator gave a sound that was unmistakable. It was approval. Elena's chest warmed. She had just spoken his name. A silent witness unseen by Elena, someone watched from the shadows of the corridor. A small maintenance droid floated near the ceiling, recording everything silently. Its sensors blinked as it captured the image of a young human rookie, feeding and speaking to the deadliest predator known in the galaxy. The recording would soon make its way across the station, the predator's choice inside the chamber. Elena grew bolder. She sat down cross-legged near the barrier. Varric lowered himself onto the ground across from her, resting his massive head near the shield. They stayed like that for a long time, just looking at each other. Elena felt an odd sense of peace. She had never imagined her first mission would lead her here, sharing a quiet moment with a creature others called a monster. But to her, Varric was not a monster. He was intelligent, lonely, and misunderstood. When she finally stood to leave, Varric let out a low rumble of protest. He did not want her to go. Elena placed her hand on the barrier one last time. "I'll come back," she promised softly. And though no words were spoken in her language, the look in Varric's golden eyes told her he understood. Closing as Elena walked back through the corridor, her mind swirled with emotions, fear, wonder, and a strange, growing bond she could not deny. What she did not know was that her secret meetings were no longer secret. Whispers would soon turn into reports, and suspicion would turn into attention. For now, though, one truth had been made clear. The deadliest predator in the galaxy had chosen a human rookie as its only friend. And that was only the beginning. The next cycle on the Orion starbase began like any other. Ships arrived, cargo moved, officers checked schedules. But beneath the routine, a new rumor spread like fire across the station. The human rookie has tamed the predator. Elena Ward had no idea that her secret visits were now common talk. The small maintenance droid's recording had reached security archives, and curious officers whispered about it in the mess hall, in research labs, even in trading markets. Some laughed, saying it was impossible. Others frowned, worried it was true. But all of them watched Elena differently now. Strange looks when Elena entered the mess hall for her meal. She felt dozens of eyes on her. Conversations grew quiet. A group of reptilian officers stared openly, their tails flicking with unease. Two insectoid researchers clicked their mandibles, whispering in their own tongue. Elena tried to ignore it. She picked up her tray of food and found a corner table. But soon a shadow fell across her. Lieutenant Harper stood there holding her own tray. She smiled faintly. "Mind if I sit?" Elena shook her head. Harper sat down and lowered her voice. "You've become popular, rookie. Everyone's talking about you." Elena froze. "Talking about what?" "You know what," Harper said gently. "About you and the Craxian predator." Elena's heart pounded. She set down her fork. "Who told them?" Harper leaned closer. "A droid recorded you. It's no secret anymore." Elena's face flushed. She wanted to defend herself, but the words stuck in her throat. Harper studied her carefully. "Is it true, Elena? Did you calm it?" Elena took a deep breath. "It's not a monster. It understands more than we think. I just treated it differently." Harper didn't reply at once. Then she nodded slowly. "I believe you, but others won't. Be careful." Meeting with the commander. That same day, Elena was called once again to Commander Rax's office. His tall, horned figure stood behind the desk, eyes glowing with restrained anger. "Recruit Ward," he began. "Explain yourself. Why did you disobey my direct warnings?" Elena stood straight, though her hands trembled. "Sir, I didn't mean disrespect. But the predator, Varric, it responded to me. It is not only a beast, it is intelligent." Rax's tail lashed behind him, a sign of irritation in his species. "It killed dozens before. Entire teams failed to control it. And you expect me to believe it simply listened to you?" "It didn't just listen," Elena said firmly. "It trusted me. I gave it food. I said its name. It chose peace." For a long moment, silence filled the room. Rax's yellow eyes studied her, searching for weakness. Finally, he exhaled heavily. "You are reckless, but I cannot ignore results. The creature has been calmer these last cycles. The guards reported no attacks. If what you claim is true, then you may have discovered something none of us could." Elena felt relief, but it vanished when Rax's tone hardened. "However, understand this. If you are wrong, you endanger us all. From this moment, you are assigned as liaison to the creature. You will enter only under supervision, and if it shows aggression, we will not hesitate to terminate it. Do you accept these terms?" "Yes, sir," Elena said firmly. The first supervised visit that evening, Elena walked into the Predator's chamber again, but this time she was not alone. Two security guards stood by the door, weapons ready. A researcher monitored readings from behind a console. Commander Rax himself observed silently. Elena approached the barrier. Varric lifted his great head, golden eyes brightening when he saw her. The guards tensed, gripping their weapons. But Varric did not roar or strike. Instead, he rumbled a low greeting sound, the same sound he always made for Elena. She smiled softly. "Hello, Varric." The Predator moved closer, lowering his head to the barrier. Elena raised her hand, pressing it to the shield. Varric pressed his claw against the other side. Gasps filled the room. The researcher's screen beeped as stress levels for the creature dropped dramatically. "Impossible," the researcher whispered. Rax's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing. Elena took out a ration bar and slid it through the hatch. Varric accepted it gently, eating calmly. Then with surprising care he made a clicking sound. Elena answered by mimicking it. The predator blinked, then rumbled in approval. The guards stared in disbelief. One muttered under his breath, "She's talking to it." The alien perspective news spread faster than ever. Aliens across the station debated heatedly. Some said it was proof humans were reckless, playing with danger. Others said it was proof humans had a strange ability no other race possessed, the power to connect where others saw only threat. An elder insectoid officer told his young cadets, "Humans are weak in body, short-lived in years, but they carry something dangerous, empathy. And empathy can bend even predators." In the marketplace, traders shook their heads. "The rookie turned the predator into her pet," one said with awe. "Not a pet," another corrected. "A partner." Growing bond over the next weeks, Elena's role became official. Every day she visited Varric under supervision. Slowly, the security grew less tense. Varric showed no hostility when she was near. She began to recognize more of his sounds. A deep rumble meant contentment. A clicking pattern meant question. A drawn-out growl meant warning, not aggression. One day she tried something bold. She placed her palm flat on the barrier and spoke softly. "Friend?" Varric tilted his head. After a moment, he rumbled a long, steady sound. Elena smiled. She didn't need a translator to understand. He had accepted the word. Respect earned it was not just Varric who changed. Elena did too. Officers who once ignored her began greeting her with nods of respect. Some aliens even approached her for advice, curious about her methods. Lieutenant Harper patted her shoulder one evening. "You've done something no one else dared to try. You've earned their respect, Elena." Elena felt proud but also humbled. "It's not me. It's Varric. He chose to trust." Harper smiled. "Maybe. Or maybe he saw something in you only humans carry." The testone cycle, an alarm rang through the station. A power surge struck Sector 12 and Varric's containment shields flickered. Sparks flew, alarms blared, security forces rushed in, weapons raised. Panic filled the air. Elena pushed through the crowd. "Wait, don't attack!" The shields faltered. Varric stood free for the first time in months. His golden eyes scanned the room. Guards shouted, preparing to fire. But Varric didn't lunge. He turned toward Elena. Slowly, carefully, he lowered his massive head before her, a sign of trust and submission. Elena reached out, her hand trembling, and touched the scales of his snout. The room fell silent. The deadliest predator had made its choice clear. He would not harm. He had chosen Elena. The commander's decision, after the crisis was contained and the shields restored, Commander Rax gathered the officers. His voice was steady, but there was a note of awe. "What we witnessed cannot be denied. The predator has chosen the human rookie. She alone holds its loyalty. From this moment, Varric is under her supervision. She will be responsible for its care and its control." Some officers protested, but Rax silenced them with a glare. "Respect what you saw. Fear is no longer our only option, perhaps. Respect is stronger." Elena felt her chest tighten with emotion. She bowed her head. "I won't fail you. Or him." Closing that night, Elena sat alone in her quarters, staring at the stars. She thought about how far she had come in so little time. She was once just a rookie, unsure and overlooked. Now even the strongest beings on the station spoke her name with respect. And in the quiet of her mind, she remembered the feel of Varric's scales beneath her hand. She smiled softly. She was not just proving herself. She was showing the galaxy what it meant to be human. Because sometimes strength was not in power or fear. Sometimes strength was in understanding. The Orion starbase had never been as quiet as it seemed in those moments before a storm. Elena Ward walked the long corridor toward Varric's chamber, her heart steady but alert. Today she had a sense that something unusual was coming, though she could not put her finger on it. Varric's golden eyes gleamed as she entered. He had grown calmer and more confident in recent weeks, his trust in her deepening with each interaction. Elena knelt beside the barrier, offering the usual ration. He accepted it gently, giving a low, approving rumble. But this day there was tension in the air that even Varric seemed to sense. His massive claws tapped the floor in a slow, rhythmic pattern, a warning Elena had learned to understand. Something was approaching. The alarm, a sudden shriek of alarms, cut through the station's quiet hum. Red lights flashed across the halls. Elena jumped to her feet, her mind racing. "Security breach," a voice echoed over the intercom. "Pirates have breached the outer docking gates. All personnel to defense stations immediately." Elena's stomach tightened. She had trained for emergencies, but this was real. Pirates, aggressive raiders who targeted advanced technology, were on the station. And Varric, though powerful, was contained behind his barrier. Lieutenant Harper arrived, her face serious. "Elena, stay calm. You know Varric better than anyone. You might be the only one who can help control him in this situation." Elena nodded. She could feel the responsibility pressing down on her. This was no longer a simple test of trust, it was a test of loyalty, courage, and the bond between human and predator. Preparing for action, Commander Rax appeared behind them, his yellow eyes sharp and commanding. "Ward," he said, "I am giving you permission to release Varric if necessary. You are responsible for him and the protection of this sector. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir," Elena replied. Her voice was steady, but inside her heart pounded. Security officers unlocked the containment barrier and Elena approached Varric. The massive creature rose, towering over her, scales glinting in the emergency lights. She raised her hand. "Varric," she said softly, "it's time to protect them. Will you trust me?" Varric's low rumble answered her. He moved to the chamber's exit, careful not to harm the guards or scientists around him. Elena followed, keeping close, her hand lightly touching his side for reassurance. Into the chaos, the docking bay was in chaos. Pirates had already disabled some of the outer defenses and were moving toward the cargo area. Station security was firing plasma blasters, trying to slow them down. The pirates' ships hovered inside the bay, their engines thrumming ominously. Elena felt fear, but she also felt determination. She had trained for emergencies, but she had never faced anything like this. "Varric," she whispered, "we fight together. Protect the station. Protect the people." The predator gave a low roar, not of anger but of readiness. Then he leaped forward, moving with incredible speed. His claws struck the floor, sending sparks from metal surfaces, but he avoided harming anyone. The pirates turned toward him, but he was faster than they expected, dodging attacks and blocking pathways. Elena followed, issuing commands in soft tones. Varric responded instantly, coordinating movements with her words. Security officers stared in awe. No human had ever controlled the predator so effectively. Coordinated defense, Elena realized that Varric was more than just a weapon, he was a partner. She directed him to block corridors, protect fleeing personnel, and intercept pirates. With careful precision, they moved together, an unspoken communication guiding every step. The pirates had expected to scare the station into surrender, but they had not counted on a human who had earned the trust of the deadliest creature alive. Varric's presence changed everything. His size and speed were intimidating, but he never acted recklessly. Elena's calm commands guided him to defend, not destroy. Security officers, inspired by the display, began working with the duo. Some flanked the corridors while others focused on the ships. Slowly, the tide of battle turned in favor of the station. The Turning Point 1 pirate ship managed to breach the inner control center. Elena realized that if it reached the command hub, the station could be taken entirely. Without hesitation, she ran toward the threat, Varric following closely. The pirate crew opened fire, but Varric moved between them and the humans, his massive body absorbing the blasts harmlessly against his scales. Elena ducked behind his flank, using his presence as a shield while she reprogrammed the station's automated defense systems. Varric's claws swiped across the floor, creating barriers and knocking the pirates off balance. The creature's growls, combined with Elena's calm commands, created an almost magical effect. The pirates faltered, unsure how to respond to such a precise, coordinated defense. With one final leap, Varric crashed into the lead pirate ship, sending it spinning harmlessly into a docking wall. The remaining pirates, seeing their plan fail, quickly retreated. Elena exhaled, her body shaking with adrenaline. Around her, the station erupted in cheers. Officers and aliens alike ran forward to see what had happened. Varric sat calmly beside Elena, watching the crowd, his tail tapping the floor in a slow, satisfied rhythm. Recognition and respect Commander Rax approached, his expression unreadable. Elena braced herself for a lecture. Instead, he placed a hand on her shoulder. You have proven yourself beyond expectation. You and the Predator worked as one. The station owes you its survival today. Elena looked at Varric, whose golden eyes seemed to glow with pride. She smiled, feeling the bond between them stronger than ever. The news spread quickly. Across the station, whispers of amazement turned into words of respect. Humans were not just fragile newcomers. They had something unique, something that even the most advanced species could not ignore. The ability to connect, understand, and inspire loyalty in others, even the deadliest predator in the galaxy. A quiet moment. After the battle, Elena returned to Varric's chamber. The guards had relaxed, leaving her alone with him for the first time since the attack. She knelt beside the barrier, her hands trembling slightly from the excitement and fear. Varric lowered his head close to hers. She pressed her hand to his scales, feeling the warmth and strength beneath. You did well, she whispered. We did well. The Predator rumbled in response, a soft sound of contentment. Elena realized that this was no longer a creature to fear. He was her partner, her friend, and now, the symbol of what humans could accomplish when they combined courage with empathy. Preparing for the future. The events of the day had changed everything. Station leadership now treated Elena with respect, not just for her bravery, but for her unique ability to understand and work with Varric. Lieutenant Harper approached her later. You've done more than survive, Elena. You've changed how everyone sees humans. They won't forget this, Elena smiled faintly. I couldn't have done it alone. Varric, he chose to fight with me. I just asked him to trust, Harper nodded. Sometimes trust is stronger than any weapon. Remember that. Elena spent the rest of the day with Varric, reinforcing their bond and practicing their communication. They had faced danger and emerged victorious, but both of them knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges, and their partnership was something rare and powerful. Closing as Elena looked out at the stars from the station window. Varric lying quietly beside her, she understood a deeper truth. Humanity's greatest strength was not its technology, nor its numbers, nor its weapons. It was its heart, its courage to face the unknown, its ability to connect, even with those others called monsters. And with Varric at her side, she was ready for whatever the galaxy had in store. For the first time, she did not feel like a rookie. She felt like a human capable of greatness, and together with the deadliest predator in the galaxy, she had proven that humans could inspire loyalty, respect, and hope, even in the most dangerous places. The Orion starbase had returned to its normal rhythm. Ships arrived and departed. Cargo moved smoothly, and the chatter of dozens of alien species filled the halls. Yet the station was not quite the same as before. The events of the recent crisis had left their mark, and Elena Ward, the young human rookie, was now far from overlooked. She walked through the central hall, accompanied by Varric. The Predator's massive form moved with surprising grace, his golden eyes scanning the crowds. Aliens stepped aside as they passed, not out of fear but respect. The combination of human and predator had become a symbol, one that showed the galaxy what courage, trust and empathy could accomplish. Recognition across the station as they moved. Lieutenant Harper caught up to Elena. People are talking about you everywhere, she said. Not just the humans, but the traders, the engineers, even the elders. They're saying they've never seen anything like this before. Elena smiled faintly. I didn't do it alone. Varric chose to trust me. I just listened. Harper shook her head in amazement. Humans have a strange gift. Maybe it's empathy, maybe something else, but you've proven it can change everything. Varric let out a low rumble in agreement, his tail tapping the floor rhythmically. Elena reached out and pressed her hand against his scales. The warmth beneath her palm reminded her that their bond was real, deeper than anyone could have imagined. A visitor from the council days later, a special shuttle docked at the station. Elena and Varric were summoned to meet the Galactic Council delegate, a dignified alien with shimmering blue skin and 3 glowing eyes. Miss Ward, the delegate began, voice calm but powerful. We have observed your actions. Not many humans could achieve what you have. You have tamed the untamable and turned a force of destruction into a guardian. That is no small accomplishment. Elena bowed her head. Thank you, sir. I only acted with what I felt was right. The delegate's eyes brightened. And yet that is what sets humans apart. Across the galaxy, humans are young, small, and underestimated. But your actions show intelligence, courage, and compassion. Perhaps the galaxy has underestimated your kind for too long. Elena felt a mixture of pride and humility. She looked at Varric, who lowered his massive head as if understanding every word. In that moment, she realized that her journey was no longer just about survival. It was about setting an example. A new role with the Council's acknowledgement. Commander Rax officially promoted Elena. No longer just a rookie, she became liaison officer for Predator Relations, the first human to hold the title. Her job was clear. Work with Varric, train others in understanding interspecies bonds, and continued to prove the value of empathy and leadership. The announcement spread across the station and the reactions were extraordinary. Aliens who had once ignored her now greeted her with respect. Some even asked for advice, curious about how a human could communicate with such a powerful predator. Elena spent the following days teaching small teams how to work safely around Varric, showing them that the creature was not a weapon to be feared, but a partner to be understood. Building trust despite the station's newfound respect, Elena never let her guard down. She knew that trust, once earned, had to be maintained. She spent hours with Varric every day, practicing new sounds, gestures, and patterns that could be used for communication. One morning, as the station's twin suns rose in the distance, Elena sat cross-legged on the chamber floor. Varric lay beside her, massive body relaxed. She traced patterns on his scales while speaking softly. You've grown calm, she said. But I know you're still learning us, just as we are learning you. Varric rumbled, almost thoughtfully, and nudged her gently with his head. It was a small gesture, but for Elena, it was a profound sign of trust. The bond inspires others' word of Elena and Varric's partnership spread throughout the galaxy. Messages arrived from distant colonies, praising the human who had bridged the gap between species and tamed a force that had once been feared. In the station, other humans began to gain respect not for their technology, nor for their numbers, but for their ability to connect, to inspire loyalty, and to lead with empathy. Elena's actions had rewritten what it meant to be human in the eyes of the galaxy. She watched groups of young officers observe Varric with awe and curiosity. Some were frightened at first, but when they saw Elena calmly interacting with him, their fear transformed into understanding, a new challenge despite the peace. Elena knew the galaxy was full of unknown threats. Pirates had been repelled, but other dangers would come. Her bond with Varric was not just a personal triumph. It was a tool for protection, diplomacy, and understanding. One evening, as Elena and Varric patrolled the outer decks of the station, she thought about the future. She placed her hand on his scales, feeling the pulse of his massive heart. We've come far, haven't we? She said softly. From a rookie who didn't know her place. To this, Varric rumbled in agreement, nuzzling her hand. The predator who had once been feared as a monster had become her companion, her partner, and her greatest ally. Elena smiled. The galaxy doesn't know what's coming, but together we can face anything. A symbol of humanity. As months passed, Elena and Varric became a symbol for humans everywhere. Stories of the human rookie who tamed the deadliest predator spread across stations, colonies, and trade routes. Children drew pictures of her and Varric. Traders told the tale in distant markets. Even the most skeptical aliens began to see humans in a new light. Not as weak newcomers, but as beings capable of courage, empathy, and partnership with the universe's most dangerous creatures. Elena never sought fame. For her, the reward was simpler: trust, friendship, and the knowledge that she had made a difference. A quiet evening one evening, Elena sat with Varric on a balcony overlooking the station. Stars stretched endlessly in every direction, distant suns casting light on the spaceport below. She rested her hand on his scales, feeling the steady beat of his heart. You're more than a pet, she whispered. You're my friend, my partner, my family. Varric responded with a low rumble, leaning closer to her. No words were needed. Between them, the bond was complete. Elena looked out at the stars, thinking about what had brought her here. A rookie who had walked into the unknown unafraid, had found something extraordinary, a connection that could not be measured by strength or skill, but by trust, respect, and understanding. And in that bond, the galaxy saw the best of humanity. Legacy years later, the story of Elena Ward and Varric was taught across human colonies and alien stations alike. It was not a story of conquest or violence, but of compassion, courage, and friendship. Humans were remembered not for being the strongest, but for having the heart to turn fear into respect and to inspire loyalty where none had existed. Elena and Varric continued their work, patrolling the station, training new officers, and demonstrating the power of trust. Their legend was simple yet profound. Even the deadliest predator could choose friendship when met with courage and understanding. And Elena, once a rookie, had shown the galaxy that humans were capable of greatness, not because of weapons or technology, but because of their humanity.